Now it's recording. Or is it? It's blinky.
Push the little button again. This one.
Man, back at FTI Racing, and you know I don't know much about this stuff, and you got all kind of cool looking stuff on the table, and tell us about it.
This is a mod motor we're building for a brand new CRF 250. It's a motocross bike, but it's some of the stuff that we do here at FTI. This bike will be ran in the B class, mod class, and some of the things that we do is we port and polish the cylinder head, put beryllium copper seats and bronze guides in it.
Dude, that thing looks too pretty to be a motor.
Yeah, it is pretty. They're pretty sporty looking when they're all done up. But we have that done. Then we'll put Exeldyne valve train, you know, their valves and springs and retainers in that.
Let's go back to this thing for a second. Tell me, what's the purpose right there? What's the dealio?
Well, this motor will make approximately 42 horsepower when we're all done with it. These Hondas stock, they're right around 38. We're putting quite a bit more compression in it. The thing needs to run a little bit more fuel through it to make all that stuff work. So porting and polishing the head improves the flow on the cylinder head, both on the intake and the exhaust side, and it'll everything together will with the different camshaft combination that we run, the valves that we run which flow more air, and then porting it just enhance the performance, and that's how you squeeze extra horsepower out of it. Some of the other stuff we're doing, you see this is the transmission out of the same motor. This is a rim finish that we do. Basically, when we had our Supercross team, this is stuff that we brought over from the NASCAR industry. We would run all our super speedway gearboxes and rear ends with this same process. Very low friction. I brought a couple of other pieces out that show you what these things look like stock versus after the process has been done. And what it enables it to do is not only will the bike shift smoother, it'll be less gatey. It also cuts down in friction. If you look at the finished gears, it has a real polished finish in between every tooth, whereas this stock gear is a pretty rough piece. You know, it has a lot of impurities, you know, imperfections rather in the casting, and that just reduces horsepower. So we've seen up to 1.5 horsepower out of a transmission only versus a non-finished transmission. So this is something that's kind of free horsepower that your motor already makes. You're just getting more of it from the crankshaft to the wheel by doing this process to the transmission.
Guys on the video camera can't see, but by feeling this thing, man, it feels like it's all greasy and lubed up and old, and this thing feels rough. But that's not, I mean, that's just the finish, right?
That's just the finish, absolutely.
That's awesome. Cool. What else you got going on out here?
This bike we're also, of course, doing the suspension on.
What? You know,
you got to do suspension on it, and doing a bunch of other little cool stuff. We've got a bunch of products from Works Connection going on the bike, some skid plates and radiator braces and all that stuff you need to keep your bike from getting busted up in an event of a crash or a rock or whatever might come at you. So we'll get this thing all put together. Wiseco's sending us a new R-Series piston. It's about 14.4 to 1 compression. We'll be sending that crankshaft out. This crank will basically have about 1.2 pounds removed from it.
Wow.
And it'll look all polished up like this transmission does, and that enables it to accelerate faster and make more horsepower at the same time. So we're pretty excited about it. We do a lot of these things for a lot of cats out here, particularly on the East Coast, and build them up like we were with our Supercross motors.
What kind of skill level does somebody have to be before they start doing stuff like this? I mean, this is for the average guy, or what's the deal?
This is for a guy that's really, you wouldn't do this for your everyday practice bike, so to speak. You know, it's a lot of money to invest. This particular person has a couple of practice bikes. They do a lot of training, and this is their race-only bike. This bike they'll take to all the qualifiers for Loretta Lynn's, as well as Loretta's. You know, hopefully he does a real good job and gets in Loretta's and gets to rock and roll. So because the parts are all on the fuzzy edge. Like, for instance, the transmission, this actually adds strength to the transmission because it removes all the little stress risers and fissures that are in the material, which are just little lines, basically. A little line, if you check stuff out that has failed and broke, you will see that it all started in that little line. This removes all that. So this builds in durability and keeps the thing shifting better. Whereas lightening up the crank, putting 14.4 to 1 compression or 14.5 to 1 compression in it, that's stuff that to make more horsepower, it puts a little bit more strain on the motor, you know. So you're going to service this motor every 10 hours opposed to every 40 hours on a motocross or 80 hours on a woods bike. So it's something you want to keep fresh all the time and just use it for the race.
Cool. Cal, appreciate everything, and just so people know, that's how we roll up in here.
That's how we roll up here.
That'd be a good video. I hope this thing recorded. Can you see if is that recording mode?
Yeah, I think it's on. If you're... Was the red light staying on?
No, it's blinking.